What film role was 100% perfectly cast? Matthew Lillard as Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He earned it too. He would go off by himself and scream at the top of his lungs to get his voice hoarse to the point where he could pull off sounding like Shaggy. Imagine it's your first day at a catering company. You know you're gonna work at the film studio and you're pretty psyched. After all, how often do you get to have a day like that? You're out back setting up in the parking lot when out of a back door comes Shaggy. Hey. You think you love Scooby-Doo. You and your dad used to watch it all the time. This must be the guy that plays Shaggy. Maybe you can just for a second go over and tell him how cool it is to see Shaggy Earl. Then Shaggy faces the open parking lot and screams bloody murder. You feel the color drain from your face. Shaggy screams and screams until his voice goes hoarse, then goes inside. You quit that day. Maybe Hollywood isn't for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Terminator. Fun fact: James Cameron originally wanted Lance Henriksen as the Terminator and Schwarzenegger as Kyle Reese. He also wanted O.J. Simpson to play the Terminator in the first movie. But when O.J. auditioned for the role, James Cameron thought he was too friendly and nice to accurately portray a killing machine like the T-800. RDJ as Iron Man. Imagine seeing RDJ as a successful actor prior to the first Iron Man movie. He was pretty successful in the 90s before drugs derailed him. He was even nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor in '92 for Chaplin. Other movies that he was very good and recognized as such, in no particular order: Natural Born Killers, Soap Dish, Less Than Zero, Gothica, Only You, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Shortcuts. For his time on Ally McBeal, he won a Golden Globe and was nominated for an Emmy. For years he was looked at as someone who threw away incredible talent to drugs. He re-emerged in Iron Man and Tropic Thunder, but to say he wasn't a great actor prior is just incredibly naive. Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown. To piggyback, Thomas F. Wilson as the many versions of Biff Tannen, Griff, and Mad Dog Tannen. He's one of the great 80s villains, and also his choices just fit perfectly in the tone and world they built. He's especially good in Part 3. He is criminally underrated when it comes to his role in the success of the trilogy. He could have just played the same character each time, but Biff, Griff and Mad Dog are believable as different people. I also love his older Biff. James Earl Jones's voice as Darth Vader. To add on to that, his voice as Mufasa. Can we just agree that his voice is perfect? Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Barbossa was also perfectly cast. Emo. Jack Sparrow doesn't shine without a good, well-written villain. One of the things that's missing from more recent films. They keep getting good actors to play the villain: Ian McShane, Javier Bardem, but then severely underutilize their characters. Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. I couldn't imagine Temple of Doom existing if Tom Selleck got the job for Adas. Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds in Van Wilder. Ryan Reynolds in Waiting. Ryan Reynolds in Just Friends. Ryan Reynolds. Pam Ferris as Trunchbull in Matilda. I remember seeing an interview or behind-the-scenes video where she stayed in character even during filming breaks, so that the children's fear of her would be more genuine. https://youtube.b/ftw2abt_go. It's because she is like Miss Honey in real life. Everyone loved her and the kids didn't want to throw food at her. Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. Anthony Starr as Homelander. He's incredible as Homelander, truly fucked up and terrifying. Anytime he's in a scene with someone, I fear for their life. Lasermitists. Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier and Ian McKellen as Magneto. Michael Fassbender as young Magneto is perfect. One of the things that makes him so interesting in the role is his accent. Michael Fassbender is Irish, but he also speaks German fluently. His father, I think, is German-born, and he spent time in Germany growing up. While playing Magneto, the way he says some words when he's speaking English makes him sound like someone whose first language was not English. as Magneto's speech would probably realistically sound at that point in his life. R. Lee Ermey in Full Metal Jacket. Ermey was originally just a consultant on that movie. He impressed the director so much demonstrating how drill instructors act that he just cast him instead of having him train the actor. Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Even better when you know the part was written without a gender specified. I never knew that. That's awesome. That cast was as good as you could get. Sigourney Weaver was phenomenal. Ian McKellen as Gandalf, Ian Merksmid as Palpatine, Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. Johnny Depp absolutely carried that franchise. Imelda Staunton as Umbridge. Gotta hand it to her for such a good performance that it made the entire fandom hate the character. If the movie were a live theatrical performance, during her bow she absolutely would have received the ultimate compliment a crowd can give for a villain performance, to be booed. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. No one could ever compare. I listened to a podcast called The Beetlejuice Minute where each episode covered a minute of the movie. It really opened my eyes to how incredibly talented Michael Keaton is as an actor. My personal favorite moment is when he says he wants to get out and Lydia replies that she wants to get in. There's a split second where his showman facade drops and he says, "Why?" It's so subtle and I never noticed it before. This is heartbreaking because he was Juno's assistant, which means he killed himself. You can see on his face the confusion and horror at this teenage girl wanting to die. J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. So good they cast him twice. They just started shaking a comic book and he fell right out. Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. FT foot to foot dash foot to foot dash foot to foot. Liver and fava beans. Yum. Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. Also Alan Rickman in everything he ever did. Edit, obligatory, thanks for the gold. Also, RIP to the notorious RBG. May her memory be a blessing. Make sure you're registered to vote. Loxley. I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon. John Candy as Uncle Buck. Obligatory upvote for anything John Candy. Such great memories of childhood films and apparently, one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. Oh, and let's not forget the great outdoors. Christoph Waltz as Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards. Oh. That's a bingo. Am I saying that right? That's a bingo? You just say bingo. Leslie Nelson in Airplane. He had been a serious actor to that point and they picked him because they wanted someone to play the role 100% straight. It's weird to see how one generation knows him as a serious actor, while another knows him as a comedic actor. I've talked about that with my grandma a couple times. Same with John C. Reilly. Bryan Cranston as Walter White. Both him and Aaron Paul were made to play those characters. Aaron Paul was so good that it changed the story. Jesse was going to be killed off in S1. Christian Bale as Patrick Bateman. My favorite part about that character is that Bale admitted that it was more or less him doing an impression of real-life Tom Cruise the entire time, and after learning that I can't unsee it. There's actually a great part in the book where Patrick Bateman gets in an elevator with Tom Cruise and keeps trying to talk to him while Tom blows him off. Bateman has an existential crisis over the moment. Kathy Bates in Misery. Her American Horror Story characters have been amazing also. I really liked her as Jo Bennett in The Office, too, The Princess Bride. As I recently watched the cast reading, I was reminded how perfect they were. I would call out everyone who was particularly awesome, but then this comment would never end. That being said, Mandy Patinkin deserves some award for that performance. Rob Reiner does an impressive Peter Falk impression, and I would still ride away into the sunset with Cary Elwes any day. ETA, thank you for all the awards. I tried to send thank you replies to everyone earlier but my iPad had a tizzy and some may have not gone through. Cary Elwes' book on the making of the movie is fantastic, the audiobook even better. As the players read and tell stories of how it came together. The tales of Andre are great and you get a sense of how much everyone loved him. Robin Williams as the genie. If I'm not mistaken, the genie was actually written with him in mind. He was hesitant to take the role, so they had animators knock up some scenes using voiceovers from his stand-up gigs. He agreed for a low price, $75,000, on the condition that Genie wouldn't be used to sell merchandise. Disney did it anyway, which is why he no longer voiced Genie. Maggie Smith as Professor McGonagall in the HP series, celebratory hands in the air. Maggie Smith as the Dowager Countess. Maggie Smith as fucking anything. She's just glorious. Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. Coen brothers know how to cast.